I'm Evan Wren, and this is the Countdown to Two-A-Days series, our daily look at an area football team and the key questions we're going to be answering about that team in our August 21st preseason preview here at Big Country Preps. Again, I'm Evan Wren. I'm coming to you from Tucson, Arizona, where I'm spending my vacation. Dan Youngblood, my partner, is joined via Zoom, and he's on his vacation as well in beautiful Angel Fire, New Mexico. As you can see, the pines in the background. So please forgive if we do not have the greatest reception throughout this. We've been struggling with it on the road here, but we're going to do our best. Dan, welcome to the show. We've got the Anson Tigers to talk about today.
All right. And yeah, this is an Anson team that took a nice step forward last year in Coach Corey McComb's second year, reached the playoffs, finished 5-6. And they've got a good group back from that bunch, 14-21 Letterman return, including 6 starters on both sides of the football. So a nice nucleus to build around. And obviously they'll be trying to play for another playoff spot this year. So got some questions to answer if we have to do that. And we'll discuss a few of those, but looks like maybe another playoff team for the Anson Tigers.
All right, before we get into this podcast, we want to remind you YouTubers to hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button and then hit that little bell so you get notifications every time that Big Country Preps comes up with a new podcast. And here's a quick thank you to a couple of our sponsors, beginning with For the Love of the Game Broadcasting and our old friend Terry Slavens, owner of K-Lakes 93.5 FM out of Breckenridge, 97.7 FM KATX out of Eastland, Classic Country AM 1330 out of Graham, 94.7 FM KWKQ out of Graham, KROO 1430 AM out of Breck, and KWBY 98.5 FM out of Ranger. That is For the Love of the Game Broadcasting. Also, Rob Durham, sales consultant at Bear Chevrolet Buick Cadillac up in Breckenridge. If you're in the market for a vehicle, new or used, give Rob a shout at 254-559-2266. That's Rob Durham up at Bear Chevrolet Buick Cadillac in Breckenridge.
And with that, let's go ahead and jump in and talk about those Anson Tigers and some of the questions facing them this year. One of the big ones, I think, right off the bat is how much improvement can we expect from this Anson group now that they are in the third year under Coach McComb's leadership? They obviously have their schemes established now. The expectations are established. This is usually the year, often the year anyway, that programs take a big step forward in that second year to the third year after the foundation has been laid. I'm eager to see if that's what we see this year with Anson. They've got, like I said, a nice nucleus back, a lot of kids who've played a lot of football. So what kind of step forward will we see from them?
All right, I'm curious about one thing I'm curious about with Anson is they had a number of young players, freshmen and sophomores, that saw significant time last year. So when will that start paying some dividends? Is this going to be the year when we start seeing that pay off a little bit? And generally, it will. But it's going to be important, obviously, for Anson to stay healthy, and that's the luck of the draw, unfortunately.
And that kind of leads me straight into the third question, and that's a depth. Depth for a lot of 2A programs is an issue, and I think Anson is no exception. That's a team that I think is going to have to stay healthy if they hope to achieve their goals. The one thing they do, they have much more experience than they've had, or at least they have a fair amount of experience this year. They've got a lot of speed again this year, so they have some really nice pluses. Depth is the one issue that they're going to have to. That's a question they're going to have to answer: is do they have the depth behind those starting caliber players to get through a tough, long season where you're going to deal with some injuries and those sorts of things? So depth, I think, is going to be a big question mark for them.
All right. And with that, we're going to take a look at the schedule for the Anson Tigers in 2024. We'll start with the non-district portion. A road date against area rival Hamlin will start things off on August the 30th. Another road date at Archer City will follow a week later. And then they've got a home date. Their home opener will be against the Dublin Lions on September 13th. Haskell will come and pay a visit on September the 20th, followed by a road date at Albany on the 27th, and then their open date. So a unique mix there of some winnable games and some real challenges also. So, and that's kind of what you want for a burgeoning program like Anson.
Yeah, I think that's a good non-district schedule for them, and that gets them ready for some real big challenges right off the bat in district. They open at home against Hawley on October 11th, followed by a home date against Stamford on the 18th. So 2 really tough games right off the bat. Then they go to Olney on the 25th of October before hosting Cisco on November 1st and wrapping up their non-district schedule at Abilene TLCA on November 8th. So kind of a front-loaded district schedule there with some toughies right off the bat. It'll be interesting to see how they handle those.
Yeah, actually, I think it's a tough, challenging district as always for Anson. There's some real tough ball clubs in there. The game of the year, as you see it, there's one in particular that I'm looking at that will secure, I think, a playoff spot for them. And then, I mean, if they win that, then the other ones are, hey, we'll give it our best shot, and if we pull one off, we pull one off.
Yeah, I think it's that back to back those 2 weeks, October 25th and November 1st at Olney and then at home against Cisco. I think those are the two games that will kind of decide. I think the Olney one's going to be the one that decides, if they get back to the playoffs, and the Cisco one could be a big one for seeding. So those are the two games that stick out to me on their schedule.
I think the most important game on their schedule to secure a playoff spot is going to be that road date at Olney. If they win that one, they're going to be a heavy favorite, I think, against TLCA, and that gets them in. That's the main thing. And then Holly, Stanford, Cisco, you do how you do, and we'll see how they do. And you never want to discount anybody, but they're clearly going to be underdogs in all three of those games.
Yeah, definitely. But those are the types of games that as a program that's growing and building that you want to play and to see kind of where you stand against the best teams in the area. And those are three really good programs with good teams back. So should be interesting. I'm excited to see what Anson can do this year, see if they can build on what they did last year.
All right, and with that, it's about time to wrap up this edition of the Countdown to Two-A-Days series, the Anson Tigers. Before we do that, though, we want to remind you that on August 21st, that's the big day here at Big Country Preps. That's when we release our annual preseason preview with a ton of material, stats, standings, team previews, player features, opinion pieces. We'll have video. We'll have, you name it, we'll have it. It is just a ton of material. And this year, it even expands a little bit, as Dan will tell you.
Yeah, we are. Our coverage area is growing this year. We are adding 5 new schools to our base 45. That will be Mineral Wells, Glen Rose, Graham, Toller, and Miles. So we're obviously excited to add those 5 to the mix. We hope you're excited to read our coverage of them throughout the season. In the meantime, thank you for joining us for this episode of our Countdown to Two-A-Days series. And make sure you come back tomorrow when we feature the Cisco Lobos here at BigCountryPreps.com.